Hello everyone, my name is Karolina Kolova and I'm happy to welcome you to Transmetrics Artificial Intelligence Showcase at the Digital Container Summit 2021. In today's showcase, you will learn how machine learning and demand forecasting can empower capacity management and introduce a new proactive approach to container repositioning for the shipping lines of today. But before we dive into the technological aspects, let's look in the context. Shipping costs have surged dramatically since the start of the pandemic. It is no surprise that major players on the market such as Maersk, Ocean Network Express and Hapag-Lloyd have reported record revenues. However, there is also a downside to this unprecedented situation: poor service levels. Exporters are saying that some containers are just being left at the origin ports and not transported to where they are needed, even after the companies pay the high rates. With the current high levels of trade imbalances, the situation is perhaps worse than ever. One of the main problems behind this is that a lot of shipping clients are simply using systems which offer no clear visibility into detailed costs. In many cases, there is a logistics team responsible for managing empty containers globally and a separate procurement team responsible for vendor expenses. This disconnect leads to situations in which companies know the total amount they paid to a certain vendor at a certain location. However, the drivers behind these costs aren't clear. This lack of insight into how and where and why delays occur, as well as how the process can be improved, can really hinder the operations of the shipping lines. Luckily, there are digital solutions that can improve the operations of the shipping lines and present opportunities for real growth. With the rapid development of the sector, companies need to reconsider their approach to container repositioning globally and choose a new one, an approach based on artificial intelligence. With this approach, companies can expect around 12% reduction in the container fleet size, 30% reduction in the storage costs for empty containers, and 10% reduction in overall logistics costs for the empty containers. So how can a shipping organization achieve that? It all starts with data modeling. The first step is to create a cost-based optimization model which considers all the costs related to the container life cycle. It should consider the storage costs, the repositioning costs, the handling costs, the stevedoring costs, maintenance and repair costs, as well as some artificial costs like not satisfying a customer's demand. On top of that, in order to produce accurate insights, the optimization model needs to learn the network, the port sailing schedules, and local repositioning options. Now, let's discuss the container journey. Almost every container journey starts the same way. The shipper picks up an empty container and fills it with goods. In order to determine the empty pickups related to the full container load, companies can really leverage a software that is using historical data in order to detect and analyze the pickup patterns and then apply those historical patterns to the future. The patterns can vary a lot based on the location and the container size type. Then, the same logic can be used and applied to the empty returns at any location. Considering all these variables and data points in order to generate an accurate demand forecast for the different locations can be a very tedious and time-consuming task for the planners. In the end, the result might end up imprecise. On top of that, all this information should arrive with a daily loop and it needs to be automatically loaded into the system. This is why shipping organizations need to consider implementing Transmetrics AI-powered container storage and repositioning software. With its daily rolling forecast divided into different granularity levels, it can be a very solid foundation for the further predictive optimization. Predictive optimization is very important, and its main goal is to fix the imbalances, or in other words, to help moving the empty containers to locations where a higher demand is expected just on time, so that companies can save up the potential storage costs. However, we also need to keep in mind something very important. Containers shouldn't only be moved, they also need to be maintained, repaired, and graded and inspected. Luckily, Transmetrics software takes all of these business constraints into account. In the end, it produces a detailed plan with the highest possible service levels and the lowest possible operational costs on the global level. Let's dive into the platform, starting from the reporting section. This section includes several reports that can help the planning team monitor the activities of local agents and take corrective actions where needed. To source data for these reports, Transmetrics utilizes data cleansing and enrichment to boost the quality of the data. It is a crucial step to establish effective data analytics in your organization. Let's take a look at some of the screens. The storage balance report can provide your team with the dynamic storage changes on the global and regional levels. With this report, you can see which depots are the busiest and see where it is best to take the empty stock and reposition it to the high demand areas. You can also specify it for the size and the type of the container. Let's take a hypothetical shipping line that services primarily Europe, Africa, and East Asia as an example here. Their primary issue is repositioning empty containers from Africa to Europe and Asia where they are needed. Due to the trade imbalances between Europe and Africa, the highest container demand is at the ports of Western Europe, but those are also locations with very high storage costs. It makes more sense to store empty containers in depots in Africa and only reposition just in time to meet demand in Europe. To take a deeper look at the costs, let's move to the next report. The storage cost chart monitors the stock levels and the cost development for certain countries, ports, or even specific depots. For the purpose of this showcase, we picked a location with a monthly free pool and with relatively high rates above the free pool. The orange line in this example represents the free pool. The solid blue line shows the historical balances on a daily basis, the dotted line shows the trend, and the dashed line shows the future projection of container balances as a result of the data modeling. What you can see here is that the stock builds up far above the free pool. In most of the cases, over 1,000 TEUs are sitting idle at this depot, causing the high storage costs every month. The optimization algorithm proposes to reduce the empty stock level at this location below the free pool while still satisfying customer demand. In other words, when the container demand per location is accurately forecasted up to 12 weeks in advance, the company can reduce stock built up below the free pool or use the insights from the software to assist in negotiations for a new free pool level. It results in optimal and data-driven safety stocks levels and reduces the storage costs for the coming months. For more strategic decisions, it is also important to understand the overall condition of your container fleet. The container fleet chart shows a global overview of container operations. On a daily basis, it shows empty land inventory, full land inventory, full and empty sea inventory, and export and import cycle. This report helps you analyze how your business performs, looking at the number of containers doing actual business. With this screen, you can draw conclusions that your fleet size may be too high if your idle fleet is increasing. In this case, you might take a strategic decision to sell or lease a part of your container fleet to save costs. As I mentioned previously, your organization can still satisfy the demand and provide high service levels with fewer idle containers at locations. All it takes is a proactive approach and timely repositioning. We have a few more reports that can demonstrate additional insights into your business. If you are interested to look at them, feel free to attend our booth and we will be happy to demonstrate the software more in depth. Now, as we have an understanding of the current fleet operations and empty stock imbalances at locations, let's focus on the forecasting. In this section of the platform, your team can review the forecast and manually adjust it if needed. Let's review the forecast for container demand at this specific sample location. Forecast powers the repositioning optimization, so it is utmost important to have it right. Based on the historical data and external factors, the AI algorithms produce highly accurate forecasts. However, you should keep in mind that no forecast can predict such unprecedented events as the start of the COVID pandemic or the Suez Canal blockage, because there is simply no data that can show such drastic shifts in demand and operational patterns. The good news is that when such events occur, the forecast can start adjusting itself with every new batch of data on the disrupted operations incoming into the system. Usually, it takes a few days for the forecast to properly take the unexpected conditions into account. On top of that, in case of exceptional business opportunities or business expansion, the forecast can be manually adjusted either natively in the platform or via the TMS or ERP integrations. Sometimes there are other events or circumstances that the system may not know about, and we believe that it is important to trust the planners and their experience to update the forecast if they do not trust it 100%. All of these adjustments will also change the result of the optimization. Now, we have explored both the AI-powered reporting and forecasting for container operations. Let's put it all together and explore the heart of the product, its planning and optimization capabilities. The best way to showcase this is through the service repositioning screen. This is a heavy screen with a lot of data, but it consolidates all the information we have to help the planners make the right decision. On the top, you see the vessels, and on the left side, you see the port of this specific service. In its intersection blocks, you can see the stock levels at the arrival and at the departure. You can also observe the activities during the port call and what is on the vessel at the moment of arrival. The most impressive thing here is that this screen presents the results of an AI model built on top of the forecast. It suggests optimal load and discharge operations for empty containers to satisfy expected demand and safety stock requirements at the lowest total cost. If you expand the vessel section, you can see more details about full container activities, bookings, forecast, and you can see what the system actually proposes, the optimal repositioning plan for empty containers. Your planning team may accept the suggestions or override it based on changes to the business circumstances, for example, a new big customer. Then, the system will automatically recalculate future stock levels at these locations as well as what is on the vessel at a certain point, and you see that the numbers show up at the destination, so it propagates the change. At this point, your team will be able to see how the optimization suggestions affect the container network performance in real life and adjust it at any point of time. So what are the biggest takeaways that you can get out of this showcase? First, applying AI and machine learning to your operations can help your company detect ongoing issues with capacity utilization. Second, through tailored data analytics, shipping clients will be able to see the current real utilization rates and also understand if there is, for example, some outstanding capacity at depots, which can be used to satisfy the demand at different locations and very busy trade lanes. Moreover, using AI and predictive analytics can produce a very powerful demand forecast at different locations. Having an accurate forecast is vital because it opens the door into the predictive optimization space. With predictive optimization, companies can allocate their resources accordingly so that they make sure that demand is met where and when it is needed. Furthermore, predictive optimization can empower more strategic decisions regarding whether the fleet size needs to be increased or decreased, as well as some tactical decisions related to the maintenance and repairs of assets. Last but not least, Transmetrics software can save the planners a lot of time, which they are usually spending on repetitive tasks. Instead, they would be able to concentrate on driving operational excellence and saving costs along the way. Thank you very much for attending the Transmetrics product showcase. The development of Transmetrics software was supported by the European Union's Horizon 2020 program. If you would like to learn a bit more about Transmetrics and see its features and capabilities, and also understand how your organization can leverage from using AI and machine learning, feel free to stop by at our booth at the Digital Container Summit or send me an email at karolina.kolova@transmetrics.ai. Let's move to the AI future of container shipping clients together and enjoy the digitalization track at the Digital Container Summit 2021.